Good morning and welcome to Wednesday's Mindful Minutes, where we are praying the names of Jesus. This week we are studying Prince of Peace, Sar Shalom. Isaiah chapter 32 verses 17 to 18. The fruit of righteousness will be peace. The effect of righteousness will be quietness and confidence forever. My people will live in peaceful dwelling places, in secure homes, in undisturbed places of rest. Philippians chapter 4 verses 8 and 9. Finally, brothers, whatsoever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. As we reflect on these scriptures, let us praise God for showing us the path to peace. And may we offer thanks for the peace we have enjoyed, and confess any tendency to rationalize behaviors that transgress God's law. And may we ask God to make us someone who spreads peace and not chaos. Our devotionalist writes, 5 years ago, we bought a house in a charming area of the city, full of older homes tenderly cared for. The trees are wide and peaceful, lined with trees that have grown strong over decades. The neighborhood is tight-knit and so friendly that it feels as though we are living in a time warp back in the tranquil 1950s. That perception shattered one sultry summer night. It took a while to clear the sleep from my head after I heard the noise. 3 o'clock in the morning. I could see the digital readout on the clock. Had I dreamt that loud bang, or had something happened? I closed my eyes and rolled over, too tired to draw a conclusion. Then I heard groans coming from the street below. Stumbling out of bed, I stood at the open window, staring down. A minivan lay crumpled against a tree directly across the street. Soon the darkness was punctuated by sirens and flashing lights.
2 young men were placed on stretchers and bundled into an ambulance. A third screamed in pain as firemen used the jaws of life to extricate him from the vehicle, mangling the passenger door in the process. That night I prayed for the injured with silent anguish, standing next to the neighbors who had gathered on the street. We learned the next day that the van had been stolen. The 3 young thieves had come careening the wrong way down our one-way street, and God knows what speed. They hadn't had a seatbelt on, and one was thrown onto the street while another was tossed around in the back compartment of the car. Only the tree had kept the car from ramming into my neighbor's house. Fortunately, though, the 3 were banged up. They would recover. But what if they had killed themselves or someone else? What if the accident had occurred in the middle of the day with young children playing outside? It wasn't the first time a car had been stolen in our neighborhood. Suddenly, our beautiful tree-lined street no longer seemed like the safe enclave we thought it was. A year later, the only sign that anything unusual happened on our street was the large bare patch on the tree where the bark was ripped off. So far, it shows no signs of healing. Perhaps it will stay that way, a reminder that the evil, despite its allure, is essentially stupid. Pursuing our impulses regardless of God's instruction is like throwing ourselves headlong into a tree. You and I may never be tempted to go joyriding, but what about other temptations? Like stretching the truth to gain an advantage, or constantly yelling at our kids, or flirting with someone else's spouse, or spending more money than we have, or spouting off just because we feel like it. What happens when these behaviors become commonplace in our society? In businesses, in churches, government, and media? Inevitably, such moral failures will diminish the peace. Sometimes they will even destroy it. God has already shown us the path of peace. We need to walk in and pursue it with all our hearts, remembering the counsel of the prophet Isaiah, who reminds us that the fruit of righteousness will be peace. The effect of righteousness will be quietness and confidence forever. Isaiah 32 and 17. I would encourage you to take some time today to pray for yourself and for your neighbors. Ask Christ to work in all hearts so that all may experience His peace. Thank you for joining us again today for another episode of Mindful Minutes. We hope and pray that you will join us again tomorrow and that you have a blessed day.